Hello and welcome to the Inside Stylist podcast, where we talk all about interiors with interviews with interior stylists, writers and the big names in interiors, from brands and PRs to artists and designers. I also catch up with industry experts in the know and get them to share all their knowledge and advice. There's so much to talk about. I'm your host, Emma Morton-Turner, an interior stylist and a writer with a ton of experience. I set up InsideStylist.com so I could share all that interiors love with you. So don't forget to head on over to the website for not only the show notes from today's episode, but for links to interior stylists, writers and assistants profiles, and a ton of inspiration. But for now, enjoy the show. When it comes to choosing a PR agency to represent your beauty, wellbeing or interiors brand, you're probably going to go with a company with over 20 years experience, right? Or maybe one with plenty of staff, like 20 in their team, or even a company that's won 21 awards in the last 12 months. Well, all that may be true, but the reason you'd probably be swayed by signing up with today's PR guests is their game-changing eco-credentials. From shredding old magazines for packaging, no more bubble wrap here, to choosing greener clients, they are making waves in today's PR world. I am very excited to talk all things clean PR with the founders of Pure PR, Cara Ward and Kelly Marks. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Thanks so we're in your offices, which are very beautiful, and we are surrounded by lots of very beautiful things. It's really lovely. I've never interviewed two people like this before. It's going to be quite a nice little chat. I think it will just be a chat.
Yes.
So I've been an interior stylist for quite a long time, and I have known you since I started. You've been going since 1999.
March 99, yes.
And what are your backgrounds? Did you start off in PR?
So I actually did a history of art degree and then decided I definitely wanted to work in the art world. And I got my very first job was at the Royal Academy.
Oh, wow.
Which was amazing for 5 minutes. And then by the end of the first week, I couldn't stick with it because it just wasn't fast-paced enough.
Yeah.
Things weren't happening enough. And I then made the decision that in that very first week, that actually I'd keep art as a passion and look for a career in something else. And I'd always been very interested in advertising and branding, and got an internship in a PR agency and went from there, really. And that's where I met Cara.
And I started with a biology degree.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, and was working on schools television for the BBC as a researcher. And in between series, I needed a job. So I took a job with a PR agency, a small PR agency called Theo Woodham Smith, and it all started there.
And you just kind of enjoyed it, so you kind of stuck with it?
Well, I think she had a very intelligent perspective on PR, and it was all about the research, and it was similar to researching television, I guess.
So you came together and became friends, I assume.
Yeah, so after about 2 years, so I was working in the beauty department at the agency I was with, and then I think about 2 years in, Cara joined to head up the interiors division, and we sat next to each other, and we worked extremely hard and enjoyed it at the same time because she made me laugh a lot. Cara's very funny. And I suppose, yeah, that's where we met, and then one day we decided that actually where the company that we worked for was I suppose getting more clients within the fashion industry, and that was more of their specialism. Cara and I both felt that it would be great to be able to have an agency that championed fantastic stories from brilliant brands within the interiors and beauty space. That's what we did.
So interiors was your passion from the beginning. So did you literally just find premises, and how did you get your first client?
Well, first office was on Great Titchfield Street. It was one room with a little kitchenette. We found it quite easily. We had someone help us find the office, and literally I think it was the only office we saw. We were like, okay, that'll do. And it was perfect, actually. We wanted to be equidistant work-wise from where we both lived.
Yeah.
Cara lived in SW and I lived in NW, London. So it just made sense.
Yeah.
And also, as well as that, we were within a 10-minute walk from Nat Mags, from Condé Nast, from all the main publishing houses. So it made our job geographically, it made it a lot easier.
Have you seen the film Sliding Doors?
Yes.
I've got visions of that little office and the little desk.
And the fire escape that was our entrance. The thing about Kelly and I is we are opposite in every single way.
That's what makes it work.
It does. I value trust. She's brilliant in every way. She's my yin to my yang. And honestly, and obviously her passion is beauty. Mine's interiors. We live in separate parts of London. We don't share any friends. It
works perfectly. And actually, the ridiculous thing is, and we say this, and I'm just waiting for it to happen. I don't know when it will, but so our company will celebrate 21 years this year. Cara and I have still not had an argument in 21 years.
That's brilliant.
Owning a business together. And I think it is, as Cara said, because we are opposite in so many ways.
We always say that, like when you've got kids and they say, if they're struggling with a subject and they're at GCSE level, it's like if they're not doing well in German, don't focus on getting them a tutor. If they're not going to do German, just focus on their strengths. You find someone else to do something. So if you're in a business and you need someone to do something you hate doing or are no good at, you find someone else to do it. So you've kind of got that complementary setup from the get-go.
Yeah. But I do think that I value all of Kelly's opinions. And I think for me, that's probably what really holds it together.
Yeah, deep-rooted
What was interesting, actually, I won't say what it was, but very often when we're pitching for business, I'll do the beauty side of it with members of my beauty team, and Cara will pitch for interiors clients with her interiors team, and we go off and we do that. But actually, earlier this week, we pitched for a brand that crosses over between beauty and interiors, and we both did it together. And actually, it kind of brought back a little bit to my mind of like what it was like in the beginning. So it was quite nice.
So Pure PR is the name of your agency. For anyone who doesn't know, and let's face it, if you're listening to this and you're a stylist, you do know who you are. But do you want to share who some of your clients are? I mean, we can talk about beauty brands as well, but I think most people will be listening for interiors.
Sure. We're very lucky because we have some of the world's most amazing interiors brands. So we work with Andrew Martin and the Interior Design of the Year Award. And in fact, I worked with Martin and Andrew Martin sort of over 22 years ago, before Pure started. We work with Burley Pottery and, big heritage brand, doing the collaboration with Ralph Lauren, the Ned, Soho House. So that's exciting, taking a brand forward. We work with Sofa Workshop, have done for over a decade.
Wow, a decade already.
I know. Brinton's Carpets, another one that we've worked through many different ways, and working with Christian Zuzenaga and Timur Beasties and residential, and bringing back the value of the product. And then we work with string shelving.
Oh, everyone's obsessed with string. The string photography at the moment that keeps popping up in the magazines, like in the advertising, is spectacular.
They use the same stylist all the time, and she is phenomenal. And bonkers. Phenomenal.
We're all bonkers.
And also Peter Erlinson, who owns the company, is brilliant too. So as it's the dream. We also work with Vinteria.
Yes.
Which is an exciting sort of...
Do you want to describe what Vinteria or they are? Because some people might not have heard of them.
Yeah, so Vinteria is brilliant about taking the antiques industry into the digital current age. And so it's a platform for antiques dealers to put all of their products into one place. So Vinteria house thousands of dealers, so you can access and search the antiques world, and then you're protected, and then you're dealing directly with each independent dealer and specialism, so you can ask them questions, they'll do the delivery. They work with a number of hotels, so it's 50% trade and 50% consumer. So if you think of hotels that do mix vintage furniture with modern day design, it's probably come from Vinteria. So set up by a lady from the city who worked in the city, called Sandrine, and it's just a brilliant concept.
Yeah, it's really clever
and very eco, but it's got a really strong tech sort of basis.
Yeah, it's kind of bringing it into the modern
fastest growing tech business.
Is it?
In the UK.
Wow, that's brilliant. I like.
So we're bringing the whole interiors element to it.
So how is that hard to pitch? I'm going to take us off task a little, off track a little, but is that hard to PR because they're probably one-off pieces? You're kind of PRing the process rather than an actual item. So if you feature something in a shoot, you're probably not going to be able to buy that more than once.
Yes, which is the beauty of interior, because if you trawl around all of the antiques markets and you can't quite find the right thing, on Vinteria you can actually search by product sector. So if it is a G-plan sideboard, which is very popular at the moment, there will be thousands of them. So you will probably find the right size, where if you had to go around all the different stores, you probably wouldn't.
No.
So in that way, obviously, if people understand the concept of interior, you won't maybe be able to buy that one unless you act really quickly.
But you can find something similar,
very similar
on the site. Yeah, that's very clever. So I was looking at your website, and there's things I didn't know about you guys. So you do focus groups and panel discussions.
We do. So we have something which we call the Pure Academy, where we bring different experts together in different fields and host panel talks, really, for people to come and learn from people that we know within our network. And
is that as in who would come and
so typically we do them as part of maybe a launch or as part of one of our events, and typically people come often other PRs, people in branding, people who work for different companies, all sorts of people, retailers, all sorts of people.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, most PR agencies, in my experience, are quite closed about not having people in. I love it that you do that.
So that's something that I find frustrating, actually, that PRs aren't necessarily open to what other people are doing. That's one of the reasons that we wanted to do that. And then also I think we'll talk a bit later about what we're doing eco-wise, and that is also an effort to kind of bring the industry together a bit. Because often you go to these events, awards events and things like that, and it's full of PRs and everyone's in the room and everyone's just not talking to each other. And I'm a firm believer that wherever you go, you've got to talk to at least 3 people that you don't know. And our business is all about networking, you know. So, we're very happy to refer businesses onto other PRs. And equally, from time to time, people.
It's kind of a little bit when I started Inside Stylist and I was sharing quite a lot, and a few people have said to me, you're kind of sharing all your contacts and your work, and it's like, well, yeah, but if I can't do it, I'm going to pass it on to someone else, because I believe what goes around comes around, and it's like that. It's like you're stronger as a team and as a supportive network than you are as individuals. So,
and also, I think we've been in the industry long enough that clients want different things from different agencies, and either you can't take them on, like you are, either your capacity, or you have a brand that you can't, that has exclusivity. And so you need to know who's really good in the...
Yeah, you want to recommend someone you...
Shout out Hugo Rawlin. Obviously, we used to work with Hugo as well. So, but, it is, if there are people who are really good, and it's a great brand, we want to recommend people too.
And it's such a small world in... Not even just interiors, but it is just a small world, and you never know who you're going to come across in other, people move, people have different brands, PRs move, brands move, everyone moves around all the time, so what's not right now might be right later.
So one of my favourite parts of this industry is actually the networking, meeting different people, from different walks of life, from people with different opinions, different backgrounds, and just everyone coming together for the greater good of PR, really. I love it.
It's all warm and fuzzy in this room, isn't it? So, can you tell me about once, so maybe a couple of the events? Like, what's been the most memorable event that you've done?
I think the one with, we had a buyer, because again, I think one of our true values at Pure is that we look to have commercial success for our brands. We look at their objective, and then, but our goal is to make them successful. And part of that is distribution, retail association. So we build up a lot of strong contacts in retail, and it's often our contacts with buyers. So I think it was with a buyer. And then we worked with House, because again, they were new in terms of their perspective.
Yeah.
And then we worked with a brand CEO. So it was about, if you wanted to learn either on lots of different levels.
Was that in one
So
discussion?
this was an event. So we had July, we do, what would traditionally be a Christmas in July, but essentially it's July/August, and it's a seasonal showcase of all of our brands together. So when you ask which is our favourite event ever, it's very difficult to say because we've done some incredible events for all of our brands. But I think Cara's right. If we look at the ones that were just pure events rather than specific client events, that one really stands out. That was, what was it called? That was our Pure Academy event. That was in July 2017. And it was kind of in 3 different sections. So we had a get together in the morning for, let's say, Cara and my kind of key contacts within beauty and interiors, and that might be influencers, writers, stylists, what have you, to show them and kind of sit down, have breakfast. And also that was an opportunity for them to mingle and them to all meet each other, like we talked about before, the importance of networking. Then we opened up the event to other editors, other influencers and everything that would come. And everyone on our team were amazing at showing everyone around, talking to them about new launches, showing them how everything comes together and what's new for the new season and everything. And I think we had about 120 people in that midsection of the day. And then in the evening, we did this fantastic talk that Cara's referring to, which was actually our first Pure Academy, when we talked about how to future-proof your brand. So we had, at the time, Tracy Woodward, who was at the time with the Aromatherapy Associates and is just a legend in the beauty world. We had the gentleman who leads House, and we had from Farfetch. So we brought in beauty, we brought in interiors, we brought in fashion, we brought in different different industry experts from relevant genres. It was wonderful, actually. It was lovely to be able to do that and have those conversations with people as well.
Yeah, I can imagine how you have different people with different outlooks, but it all kind of crosses over. So someone who does beauty would probably say something that an interiors person would go, oh, I hadn't thought of it in that perspective.
That was so interesting. So Emma Sinclair, who's an MBE, she's a tech entrepreneur. She was one of the people on our panel, and things that she was saying were totally blowing people's minds because she works in tech, but yet someone who works in interiors or someone that works in beauty were like, I can totally relate to that in my business.
Yeah.
So
really so you come away with so much knowledge that you weren't expecting to get from where you get it from. Something. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And I think, as you must know, that events, were getting very samey. And because of the internet, you could almost get the information you needed without going to them. So we wanted people to come away with something. Make it worth their while. And I think that goes all the way through, whether you're telling a story, pitching an idea. What is it that you're giving them that they don't know already? And that's why we have very clever people here.
It's really hard work putting on events, though, isn't it? I think people don't realise quite what goes into them.
We've got to the point where we do so many events on a monthly basis that we've actually brought someone in, an events architect, specifically to build events for each of our brands.
That's brilliant.
And it's fantastic because she can deeply focus on that and make sure all the elements are right, and then the PR team obviously feed into that, but it's not taking away from their day job, so it's working really well.
Is she? That's good. You need that.
She's the dream.
Well, if you have anything coming up that's interiors and you want me to share it, I will share it. Just keep me posted. So, talking of events and Christmas in July, what I would like to know, so I've talked to quite a lot of PRs, and I think I do it with Inside Stylist head on. I see the kind of things that PRs do in a different way to before I did Inside Stylist. And as an interior stylist, I would just come to a brand, come to a PR and say, I need an image, or I need a product, or can you get a quote for me? So I know what Christmas in July is like for me, but can you share what it's like for you? Because I'd be really interested to hear. I mean, obviously there's a lot goes into it, but can you just share a bit?
Christmas starts in March, where we come up with a theme idea for our events. So we talked already about previous one. The last one we did was pure positivity. So that was looking at each of our brands and the positive things that they're doing for the world at large, whether that's environmental or diversity or whatever that may be. So it starts in March. We start to build an idea of what it's going to be like. We find the venue and all of that. Then the event happens July or August. And then it's a constant trickle of feeding that information through according to your different lead types of media.
Is each of the brands will give us a commercial objective. What products they're launching, what part of their business it is, which sector of their business do they need to grow?
That's really interesting, because in my head I'm thinking, right, you have products and this is what you want to sell. But actually you have to go into so much more detail than that.
Yeah, and what are their projections? You know, if they're doing a limited edition, it could be like a showcase piece, but it's not going to be bringing in that information. So it's about what is the objective from the brand commercially to do that.
And it's also aligning that with their global messaging, so making sure that we're not revealing anything before, let's say, another market, unless, of course, we're meant to launch it.
You've got a lot of brands as well, so how do you show everyone, or you do separate beauty? And
no, we tend to show everyone.
The last one was both, wasn't it? Because actually I had a little bit of a hair treatment.
Did you enjoy that?
Well, now did I enjoy that? I'll just set the scene. It was really hot that day.
Oh, yes. God, wasn't
really
it?
Hot. And I walked in, and upstairs I spoke to the gentleman from Burley, who was brilliant. So,
Jim.
He was great. So Burley is a very kind of heavily chintzy sort of design for anyone who hasn't seen it. And he was showing me the process of how you put the pattern on. I'm looking at it here in the offices. How they kind of print the pattern onto a tissue paper, and then they put it on. There's only a couple of people who can do the teapots in the world.
Oh, you really paid attention.
I was fascinated. But I was getting really hot, and I thought, right, I'm going to go downstairs and see the bedding and the eco things that you're doing that we'll talk about in a second. And I sat down, and the lady from Moroccan Isle said, would you like me to do your hair? And I thought, I am just a great big fuzzbox. Yes. So I sat down, and she just twiddled my hair, and she put product on it. She was talking me through it. She was so lovely. And then Jordan from 2LG walked past and went, darling, you look lovely. And I thought, this is work. I promise you this is work. But I just really needed to sit down, and it was a really nice break. And also, as an interiors person, you're kind of like, I feel a bit naughty because I'm looking at the beauty, but I really want to know about this hair product. So it's actually really lovely to get to see kind of other elements of what you could feature, and even if it's like, if you're shooting a bathroom, you might want to put a beautiful product on the bathroom.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So it's lovely to be able to, I think, even just get a break in your everyday for you to be able to see hair, or for a beauty editor to see new bed linens. But that's also where the crossover is. So we were talking, Cara was explaining about some of our clients, and from a beauty perspective, lots of our brands all of our brands, to be fair, have incredible products, and most of them look beautiful too. So, for example, Malin & Getz is a brand that often will get call in from interiors,
it's gorgeous,
from editors and from stylists, just for their bathroom shoots or their bedroom shoots, whatever it is.
I have to say, when I walked in the offices this morning, one of their candles was sitting on the side, and it smelled divine, and I was like wafting it, going,
they're so beautiful.
Yeah, really lovely. So, but they're kind of modern as well, so it's kind of a good mix for a modern style room.
But it's also that is part of the point of Christmas in July. You were then introduced to a beauty brand that you probably wouldn't have tried otherwise.
No, exactly.
And now you loved it, and now you could be a new customer.
And you had a lot of brands that actually you were thinking, right, but that's really white, that will work really well. And then you've got another one that's like all brown recycled glass. It's like, okay, that will work in a different sort of style setting. So, exactly, completely.
And actually how you finish a room with accessories, I mean, that's basically what a blow dry is all about, isn't it? It's just finishing off your look and making you feel polished and looking your best.
Yeah. I felt so good leaving having had my hair done. The headshot on my...
better.
You know when your picture comes up on your email? Yeah. It's the picture from that. And I was
really?
still a little bit glowy, but I was like, I need to have my hair cut again so it's that length. It looked really good.
That's so nice to hear.
And I think we are one of the only beauty and interiors
I can't
agencies.
think of anyone that does both.
It crosses over in so many ways.
I think particularly in business stories and brand profiling and things like that.
Yeah.
Well. And also, I think, we're seeing more and more brands either moving into one or the other. So, beauty brands that are doing interiors, accessories, and interiors, obviously,
it makes sense,
beauty
doesn't
brand,
it?
particularly with hand washes and body lotions. And things.
Have you had any big PR disasters? You could share without naming any names. I think that would probably be the same.
Yeah.
So you're both smiling.
Because there's a massive name. There's a massive name that we won't mention. We've had a few, I wouldn't say PR disasters as such. Well, the one I was going to tell you about.
PR.
Business.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We've had a few business issues. But in terms of the thing that relates to PR that could have been a disaster, but I think we kind of saved it. So, in this industry, you sample products to various people, including celebrities. It's part of what you do to get your brand known by these celebrities, so that if they would like to mention it in an interview that they use this particular product, they can. And that's obviously up to their free will. So, we had sampled a particular beauty product.
That's not with us anymore.
Yeah, it's not an existing client anymore, correct. We sampled a particular product to a bunch of people and then relayed back to the client about the feedback that we had. Now, very often you get no feedback whatsoever. So you can send hundreds and thousands of pounds worth of, well, not hundreds of thousands, but thousands maybe, pounds worth of product to people, and they're not obligated to say thank you or to give you any feedback, and very often you hear nothing. Occasionally it will then come up, however long later in an interview, that they really love this face mask, and that's great, and it's working, and that's cool. And obviously sometimes, and very often, depending on your contacts and whatever, of course you get feedback and you can use it and all the rest of it. Anyway, one particular person on the list, who we had sent the products to, had just had his assistant send a very nice email to say, thanks so much for sending the blah blah to so-and-so. He thinks they're lovely. Or words to that effect. So we let them know. Just to let you know, this feedback we had from the seeding. They, from the whole list of feedback, they took this one piece of feedback, possibly because they maybe fancied him. I don't know why they chose to use this particular one. I have no idea. And in a totally different global market, they used that quote of thanks for sending it to so-and-so. He really likes it. And they put it at point of sale as if it was
the character.
The character that this person plays, right?
Oh.
And so associated it not even with the actor, but his role.
Character. Yeah.
And did some point of sale literature and amplified it as if it was
him
a proper paid for endorsement, which it was not, which it never was. It was never intended to be. And someone on his team saw this when they were travelling and got in touch with us. And let's just say it was a very long, drawn-out legal procedure, which I'm pleased to say they finally backed down on. So we won that. We won that struggle. But it was exactly that. It was just stressful because it wasn't our doing. The client had misused the information. They were going through something where they didn't even want to deal with it, but it was an English law situation. It was messy, stressful, but then it all worked out in the end because clearly we had done nothing wrong.
But again, you learn from things like that.
I was going to say, what do you do now though?
You teach anyone here the importance of what you're saying and responsibility of what you're doing. If in any doubt at any stage, ask us. So that's...
I'd be scared to send anything back after that. It's like, it's so misconstrued. People are cheeky, aren't they?
I know.
But but then you do hear from sort of celebrities that we do work with, the things that people do and associate them with stuff. And, and that's not fair on their behalf as well.
I actually think that was a number of years ago, before social media was what social media is. And nowadays... it's much simpler. If someone receives something and they like it, they tend to post about it if they want to, and that's fine. And so that's out in the public domain. But this was not in the public domain, nor intended to be.
You're making me never want to be a PR ever in my entire life.
Oh, don't say that. It's the greatest job in the world.
So, let's talk about Pura.
Okay.
Do you want to explain what that is? I love it that you've got Pure, and it's got the Pure Academy, and you've got Pure, and you've got... It's very clever, very clever. Okay. So, Pura.
So, Pura started about 5 or 6 years after Pure, really. And it was always intended to be a division within the agency looking after brands that were cleaner, greener, give back, or do good. Cara and I were very aware of the environment, the world we lived in, and that was the impetus behind it, really. Our first office was powered via ecotricity, so it was wind-powered energy. Wow. Our office now is also sustainably powered.
I'm very bright.
Yeah, there you go. I drive an electric car. We provide organic tampons in the office for
I read that. That's brilliant.
Right? So,
just to provide tampons is amazing, but
well, it's an all-female team.
Yes.
And actually, I'm a strong believer in not putting nasty toxic chemicals inside your body. I don't think that's a good idea.
No.
So I wouldn't do it for myself, and I wouldn't want our girls in the office to do that either.
And
so
also
that's
for
where
them
that
to
came
try,
from.
because if they wouldn't have tried before,
Yeah.
So that's where Pura started, and we've had the privilege of working with some incredible brands within that division. So we launched Method, the home cleaning brand.
I remember.
Adam and
I
Eric.
was the classy cleaner at the time on Women
Yes,
in
of
Home.
course you were.
Big fan of Method. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant. And I think from our perspective that they worked really hard on the formulations.
Yeah, do you know what? That was what I did because this was how exciting my job was as the classy cleaner. I used to test everything and I would take it home. And I had the washing up liquids. And at the time there were a few rather large name brands that did washing up liquid that were just, my Jewish mother would go pishy. There was nothing in them. They were just like water. There was no cleaning element in it. And then Method came along and you were like, you can get eco that works.
Yes.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
So that was one of our first Pura brands, and at the same time we looked after Burt's Bees, and we went on to look after Planet Organic.
Do you think you became known for it? So those kind of brands were coming to you because they knew your ethos?
Yeah, I think also that we've learnt so much from working with truly sort of green brands with really high values and research and everything. So you understand as well they're about greenwashing and really how people need to understand and be educated, and then also what you need to look out for and things like that. So I think our experience within the industry has been really valuable. So I think it's probably now they're coming to us more because of that experience rather than then. I think it was because we were actually really interested in it and had some of the best pioneers. I mean, Planet Organic was the first organic supermarket.
Yeah, I was going to say that you were very ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Because
The thing
now it's an
was
everyday
that
thing.
we wanted that cleaner, greener message to be an ongoing message. We felt that if it was something that was seen as a trend, it's trendy to be green or whatever, then the trend passes and then it's not cool anymore. So our belief was very much that this needed to be a story that continued always, because we're very aware of our planet and what goes in, what humans do and have done, and probably your kids like mine do look at you and say, "Oh, Mummy, what have you done?
Yeah,
look
why
what
are
you've
you
left us with."
Why are you buying Nutella? It's got palm oil in. And when they very rarely buy plastic bottles now, they're a bit obsessed. What's the Itsu now do these bottles, but they do them in like, I don't know if they're aluminium, they're like metal, and they're like £1.50, and the girls are obsessed with them. So they've become obsessed with these reusable bottles and stuff, rather than...
I'm loving that they care.
But and I've learnt so much from my kids, so much. The things that they do and how they recycle. My 16-year-old has 3 bins in her bedroom so she can recycle straight away. She makes a phenomenal amount of mess. She's very arty, so she does, has a lot of paper cutting and stuff, but the fact that at 16 she's thinking in that way.
I think that whole Generation Z is so inspired by doing better, solving problems, fixing things.
I think design is so important in that, because I think good design will incorporate sustainable solutions in everything they do. The glasses are saying that you're working with LSA, they're specialist glass makers, have been for over 50 years. And they're using that skill to pioneer new techniques like mouth-blowing recycled glass.
Yeah, because you were saying I've never seen mouth-blowing recycled glass before, and they're beautiful. And normally you think recycled glass is going to be green and a bit thick, but they're not. They're delicate and they're beautiful.
They're delicate. They're premium. They're gorgeous. The things that they can do. They've worked with the Eden Project. The paper is recycled, the ink is biodegradable, the glue is biodegradable. They've looked at every single element, because this is the future and this is how we should do it. And I think by things like that, and then plant plastics, and so I think we're learning more and more how we can make better choices
exactly.
through design.
Cara actually said something the other day which I thought was really interesting. I think that's kind of where we started with Pura and the brands that we've worked with within interiors and beauty that are cleaner and greener. It's looking at this, what Cara called it, progress, not perfection. So what everyone's doing to get a bit better. Not everyone has to do everything perfectly, but let's all do something. Yeah. And I suppose Pura has developed into now the packaging promise that we're working on.
Yes, I was just coming on to that. So the reason I thought you would be perfect to be my first PR guest, actually, is because at that Christmas in July event, there was a massive pile of boxes, and then there was a whole pile of recycled magazines. And as a magazine person, you're like, oh, but actually, you can't keep them all, and you must buy all of them for cuttings and stuff. And I was told that you shred them and you use that as packaging. You don't use bubble wrap anymore. And I was like, why is everybody not doing this? Right. And I just thought it's brilliant. So what else is your packaging? What else? How do you do it?
So basically we launched Packaging Promise last year, as you quite rightly said at that event. And it was really an extension of what we had already started doing internally. So internally, we had started to clean up on our packaging, really, to avoid single-use plastics like a sellotape, to not use ribbons.
What do you tape with then? What do you stick things down
with? So we've got
with?
A particular, it's a paper-based, clean, gum-based tape that sticks things down. But then what we wanted really to do, we wanted to keep it very niche to our own industry, because we just feel it's like charity starts at home, right? So let's work with our own people. So it was all about, the Packaging Promise is all about the mission to reduce waste packaging in PR mailers. And it's as simple as that. It's literally to say, for us to have look at something twice before you send it out, and to ask others to do the same. So we're very fortunate that it's resonating, and every week people are signing up. So whether that's PR agencies or in-house people who send out packages, or the receivers of packages. So whether it's stylists, whether it's influencers, editors. So what's happening is that people are using the Packaging Promise logo as a stamp on their email signatures to say, I will not send you excess waste, but similarly, I support the Packaging Promise. Please don't send me excess waste. Okay, because everyone ends up spending however long sorting out their rubbish, sorting out the recycling. Nobody wants it. So whenever we can, with mixed mailers across our brands, they're absolutely abiding by the Packaging Promise. And then occasionally a brand will come to us and say, well, this is the mailer that we did in the US or in Australia or in Germany or whatever, and this is what we want you to send out, and here's the stuff, and send it. So in some respects, we can't have full say, but we do question every single client every time there's a new product, a new delivery, whatever it is, to make sure that the things, what they're doing is getting close to the Packaging Promise. And in fact, we had a lovely email from a client yesterday to show us what they're doing in the US, and she said to me, your Packaging Promise team will be pleased to hear everything's recycled and recyclable in the send out. So it's really great.
Yeah, so it's the ripple effect, isn't it? You are creating, because the amount of people that you come into you come into contact with is huge.
Yeah,
absolutely huge. It's amazing.
And I think as well, it's the practical elements of stuff. For example, with Ashley & Co, they've got refills, but they were saying one of the consumer issues is people don't like to refill an old bottle because it doesn't look very nice.
Oh, really?
And so they've worked with the plastics here, that they are squidgy and the ink doesn't come off, so it'll stay nice the whole time.
Clever.
And so actually it'll stay as good as new.
Yeah.
Because
my goodness, I just realised that's washing up liquid.
It's washing up.
I will put pictures on the show notes so you can see what we're looking at. They are gorgeous.
And then the thing with the Packaging Promise is that agencies or senders or receivers will sign up on our website at packagingpromise.com, and then they get the stamp to be able to use, and then by agreeing to be part of the Packaging Promise, they have to vow to obviously reduce their waste, not use bubble wrap, not use any single-use plastics at all. And yes, as you said, we shred all of our newspapers and magazines on a bi-weekly basis.
It's actually quite therapeutic.
I'm sure, yeah.
And we use that as filler for the boxes.
Yeah,
and
it's brilliant.
It really does
do
the
when
job it works.
People back in the day, and there was no bubble wrap, they would use newspaper.
Yeah,
right. Exactly the same.
So let's just go back to that. And then also the box. So we've also produced boxes that are recyclable and recycled. And they're self-sealing with a natural gum, so you don't necessarily need a tape to put on top. So that people who sign up can buy those boxes via our partner who manufacture those.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
so you make it really easy.
Really easy. Yeah. And then what also that we're going to be doing is building from that network of people who have signed up to Packaging Promise. We'll do kind of community, maybe talks and events and that type of thing. Yeah,
it's genius. Absolute genius. I was so impressed when I saw it. I was just like, this needs to be shared. More people need to know about it who don't, because it's just there's so much waste in this. I was talking to Victoria Tunstall. We were trying to get an event together about eco, and people just weren't ready. But it's like you're doing it from your side, and now it hopefully will trickle out. There's another thing you do. God, you do so much. The Pure Network.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about that?
So the Pure Network is started off because we work with a number of international brands, and they often say, oh, do you have an office in New York or Australia or LA? And obviously we were growing and we looked into it. But what we know and why we feel we're so good is because we know the industry, we know our audience, we know our demographic, we know all the contacts, and we've built that up. So if we go to a new territory, would we have the same power and influence? And so we then started to look at different agencies who were the best in class in their categories. And again, a brand might want something different as well.
So we partner. We've got various partner agencies that we work with in different territories, and either we'll make introductions to our existing clients if they're branching out into new territory and do it that way, or another way that it works with the Pure Network is that we will manage the PR agencies in the other nations. So, for example, for Malin & Getz at the moment, we manage their PR for the whole of Europe. So in all of their different markets in Europe, we selected the agencies that we partner with for them, and we have regular meetings with them. And we oversee strategy, implementation, and all activity on that account to make sure really that our brand, I mean, we've worked with Malin & Getz for maybe 12 years. We know the brand quite well. And so as brand guardians, we're looking after them in those markets and making sure everyone's aligned and doing, singing from the same hymn sheet, as it were. And it works really, really well.
Yeah, I was going to say that's, for them, that's gold dust, isn't it? Because otherwise you could just have someone who goes off and does their own thing and it jars against each other. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We were talking before we started recording about social media and influencers and stuff. I think it might be really interesting for people to hear how you work with editorial and print and social media and Instagram and everywhere else. How do you get the balance right? What are you looking for?
Yeah, it's so interesting because actually as our role in PR continues to grow, people always say it's changing. I think it constantly grows. There's constantly more to do.
Isn't it?
More to do. And so we also manage social media for the UK market for quite a few of our brands as well. And
how do you do that? Do you have one person who looks after a brand and they do the kind of the sending out of images and then they do the social media as well? Or do you have someone?
We've got a particular social media team that is kind of a bolt-on to the PR team.
A sort of talent and
you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah. So within Pure, we've got our PR team, and we've got our social media team, and we've got our digital and design team, and so they all tend to work together depending on the client's needs. And as Cara said, everything that we do is very commercially driven to help our brands succeed, but it's also very client-centered. So different clients need different things. We make sure that we're doing that from the strategic business perspective to make sure they're getting what they want. Some will want. Some might be a more direct consumer business where they do want more on social media. But we've worked with bloggers since the beginning, and in fact, we were the first agency at Pure to do a multi-brand event for bloggers. So we, a few brands had done maybe just bloggers events, and at that time, bloggers and editors would not be in the same room.
No.
Or more specifically, editors would not be in the same room as bloggers. They were not interested. And so that was a very, very delicate path that we had to take as PRs within the whole industry. But I think it was about probably 12 years ago where we did this first event where we just did it for influencers. And so we have been building up our influencer contacts for a very, very long time. And so now you say, how do we work with them and get that mix? And it is getting that mix. The importance, I think a brand who thinks I should just do social media is missing a trick, because the power and the influence of the printed word, whether it's the Sunday Times or it's You Magazine or it's Elle Decoration or it's Vogue or whatever it is, in terms of brand building and brand awareness, is absolutely important, as is the influencers. And really, we work with all of these people to help amplify the messages for each of our brands. And everyone has a valuable voice. And social media has come to, can work negatively in some ways, but as we prefer it when it works positively, with people talking about our brand and sharing our brand stories in the same way that you might read about it in Stella and the Telegraph on the weekend, or you might read about it on a blog or listen to it on a podcast on your way to work on the tube.
I also think that what we're seeing that is growing is that brands need to have everybody talking along the same strategy. And so often it comes from the brand and the marketing department and their planning, which all goes into their success, their business, commercial success. And so our PR strategy is built around that. And what was happening is that they have an external social media agency that was going, who doesn't know the industry, who maybe doesn't understand the brand values to the same extent, because they were saying their audience is different. But what we're seeing is that it's really, really important to have a really cohesive message going through all of this.
Is their audience different on social media and in print?
Who knows?
I was going to say, that's very interesting.
But what they were putting out there
was polar opposite.
Right.
I've actually, I remember very early on experiencing this. When I very first went freelance, I wrote for Ashika, and I used to do interiors features for them, obviously, and I wanted to do an extract from Selena Lake's book and interview her for that. And I went to the press office and they said, no, you need to speak to the social media team. So it's like, it's all social, it's all sharing, it's all PR. And I was like, that happened quite a lot. You had to go to a completely different group of people.
There are influencer marketing companies that are that do influencer marketing, in that they're trying to connect brands to influencers. But as Cara said, if they don't know the depth of the brand, if they don't understand the brand, if they don't know who the market is and all of that, then it goes completely wrong. And I have had instances where bloggers who are really good friends of mine will message me and say, look at this that I've just had from some affiliate marketing company. It's, that this isn't right for me, or how come they're talking about this when you've just told me about a new product? And so that piece has to really be joined up. So actually, that affiliate marketing and stuff is definitely something that
but I think
we're doing more of, and certainly for our brands.
What the brands are noticing is that actually, if they're all following the PR strategy and the same messaging and all the work that we do for PR, with the press content and all of that, which is very curated, that we can apply that to social. So we've hired an interior social media expert as well, and it's a win-win for everyone, because it's one phone call, it's one meeting, it's everyone to the same strategy. They're all the content and assets here, and then we learn from both sides. We learn from the immediacy of social, and we can feed back and create reports. So actually, it is an exciting time and a valuable sort of element to PR.
Yeah, it's very interesting. No one knows where it's going, though, do they? So you just have to kind of make sure everyone is featured everywhere, essentially.
And it does change
daily.
Well, I think again, it's whether the big tech companies, whether Google and algorithms and research and all of that's changing, and you need someone who's on it.
And there's a rumbling that the next Instagram, TikTok, whatever, is about to launch as well. So there's always another thing in the pipeline. I don't know. But I've heard a lot. No, I don't know. But I have heard that there's supposed to be something big launching soon. So, and that's the thing. You're big on Instagram. Then someone like TikTok is massive.
Yes. Are you TikToking?
I have played. Have you played on TikTok? It is awful and hysterical and brilliant all at once. So it's not aimed at
it's not really
market,
for us.
but it's do you get in there now and just kind of play around and understand it? Are you like my reach is probably so if I'm looking for people who want to join Inside Stylist, they're going to be someone who's already decided they want to work in interiors. It's probably just a little young. TikTok's a little younger than who I'm looking for, but I've looked on for interiors on TikTok and there's not a lot.
No,
there's a lot of pranking and a lot of I have done a dance on TikTok.
Okay,
I learned one.
We are going to go on TikTok.
Renegade.
It's so funny.
We've actually
go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've actually silently launched a pure PR London TikTok account. We just haven't uploaded on it yet.
No,
but we're waiting for the right moment.
You have to go and prank everyone.
No, we're waiting for the right moment. We kind of know we're planning it. We know what we're doing.
But that's the thing. It's that TikTok's really big. We should be on it. And then this new thing is like you can't be on it.
TikTok's been around for years, hasn't it? Because it was Musical.ly, and then it kind of quietened down, and then it's come back with a vengeance.
And that's the thing. It all changes so quickly that.
Yeah. Actually, interestingly, one of our clients on the beauty side is Elf Cosmetics, and they were one of the first beauty brands to engage with TikTok. They had something ridiculous, like 3 million downloads of this song that they made with a famous musician, and it got the most incredible pickup.
And did it translate to sales?
Yeah, it was amazing for them for sales, but also for just getting the name out of the brand. And they had celebrities, amazing celebrities getting involved and doing the dance to their song, Eyes, Lips, Face. And it was amazing. It was really amazing. And actually they've been championed in lots of features. Elf has been championed as a brand that's really taken on TikTok and done something brilliant with it.
Go and look at that as soon as we stop recording. So, last question. What's next for Pure PR? Can you fit anything else in?
We can.
Yes, there's big smiling faces. Yes, we can. There's always room.
There's lots that we're doing, and I think that's why I said before it's the best job in the world, because it keeps evolving.
Yeah, always moving forward.
And also, I suppose, because Cara and I are happy to make mistakes, to give stuff a go, and to do things differently, and so but also to try things. And so we've recently started doing some new stuff on our digital side of the business. So I
forgot about your gifts.
There you go. So we have a design team who create the most amazing gifts for brands.
Brilliant.
And actually design interiors don't have any good ones.
No, they don't.
No, so we're like we were saying. And
so we produce basically the gifts are the gift stickers. So not like the videos where you might see. Well, we can do the videos. The videos are like clips from TV shows or what have you. But what we work specifically on are branded gift stickers. So those little stickers that you add on your Instagram stories, or you can use them in text messages or various different channels to support brands. And what we found is that they are extremely good at developing and encouraging engagement within your consumer reach. So we've done them for lots of brands within our own client base. So, for example, we've done them for Malin and Getz, we've done them for Innocence, we did some for Elf Cosmetics, but also for other businesses as well. So I'm a North Londoner. My local deli is Panzers, and we did one for them for their anniversary. We did a whole bunch for Goop, the lifestyle site, and all sorts. But also that's going really well, and there's a constant stream of, it's a constant revenue stream, but it's also a constant stream of creativity and excitement. And that's also developing as well. We've started doing augmented reality, where we're producing filters for brands as well.
Wow.
So that's definitely something that's going to pick up this year that I'm really excited about.
And then on the business side, we are sort of, because we are trusted by our brands and understand the industry, we're working very closely with them for collaborations and license deals.
Ooh.
So that's another growing element.
So watch this space.
Watch this space. So we've got some signed and launching in September.
Ooh, very cool.
Really, really exciting.
So you launching in September. So telling stylists earlier.
Yes.
But September's not far in our world.
No, it's not. So we'll be telling you soon.
Yeah.
The deals are signed. The designs are in production.
Very cool.
So that's really exciting because it's about taking everything we know and love about brands and transferring it to a like-minded brand or a very different audience group, but with the same ethos. So exciting. Loving that.
Well, domination, ladies. Very impressive. I've seen a whole different side. I've learnt so much. Thank you so much for your time today. I've loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to the Inside Stylist podcast. You can find all the details from today's episode over in the show notes on insidestylist.com. If you enjoyed the show, I'd love it if you would head on over to iTunes and rate and review it. It's the best way to help other people find the show, and I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, bye for now.